So you called a dishwasher and a washing machine as a robot as well. So how do you define a robot? So I have these two questions basically.
Okay. So yeah, yeah, definitely. We have shown that the same setup, the same robots. If you take, for example, Baxter is a humanoid robot that is a unique design. Um, Many university and research center and also companies have bought this robot and specialize the robot to do a particular set of tasks. Um, so the same design, the same architecture has been used um, uh, to accomplish different tasks, and that is possible. But you have some limitation on the number of tasks and the complexity of the task that you
Yeah.
can execute the same robot because limitation in the space, the data you need to acquire and stuff like that. So building a android like the centenary man, it's still far away
Yeah.
on the and if I can may add also my opinion on this, we might actually reach the point where we get humanoid robot that can work around us, and that is actually, I hope we will reach that point. However, all these debate around, if it's correct to have robots that are stealing jobs or stuff like that I don't think is actually matter this debate because if you look at Centenary Man, which is one of my favorite movie, though if you remember, the story has is like it was like our world in the 90s, right? But with this big change that there are androids that can work autonomously and are very close to a general AI kind of way.
Hmm.
So there is a scene where there is the owner of the robot that is reading the newspaper outside his balcony, right? And there is the robot next to him that is serving. Okay, on newspaper. To understand, in the 90s, obviously we were getting our news on the newspaper, but 30 years later, nobody uses newspaper anymore, right? So
Yeah.
it's unbelievable that that particular technology will actually be ready if, in that particular world, the world would have developed accordingly. So right now we are, having cell phone to check for news or a tablet, right? I would imagine that if we reach the point of having autonomous Android in our house, we might reach the news from, I don't know, a chip in our brain or something like that. Of course, some goggles that can show us the news or something like that, like a minority report kind of technology, right? If that technology is not ready, I don't see why that should happen. And obviously, if magically we ended up having an Android on the 90s, then obviously that will start stealing jobs to people that were specializing in that particular job and didn't have the time to actually move to a different job. But I would assume that when the Androids will be ready, people careers have already moved away from the jobs that they were doing 30 years ago they are doing now, and that is not going to be a problem. Like the car was not a problem when we stopped using horses because
Yeah.
gradually got inside our culture, right? And people have over generation have changed the job, and they found actually better jobs that are easier, they are less demanding, and also the lifespan has grown for human beings because a lot of hard work were actually not necessary anymore and they were substituted by other type of jobs. Okay, so that debate just added. I believe most of the times when we debate about this kind of stuff, people that are not in research on robotics, they tend not to analyze this point of view, and in my opinion, is actually quite important. Uh, to move to the second questions, that was what was the second question? Sorry.
So it's one question was the specialized robot thing, and the other question was what is a robot, because you called the dishwasher and yeah.
Yes. Well, I said robot. I didn't say intelligent robots, right? So a robot is actually a machine that does some operations.
Okay.
Okay, you uh, programmable robots are robots that can have multiple functionalities with the same design. You just need to change the code, right?
Mhm.
So a dishwashing machine is programmable, for example, right? It has different type of washing setup. You can change it, and you can add new ones if you want, and um, and intelligent robots is something. Well, we needed to describe what intelligence is, right? Intelligence, there have been tons of definition around the web and on books. If you look at the textbook for AI and machine learning, every book gives you a different definition of intelligence.
Mhm.
Uh, what I like to consider intelligence is coming from Professor Winston from the MIT, and he said that you know intelligence is having a model, but a model that targets thinking. So it's not just a model to solve particular problems, but it's trying to understand what is the thinking process in order to solve that problem. Okay,
Yeah.
so the reasoning, inference, having raw data, extrapolating and patterns, and this kind of stuff. Okay, so the models target a reasoning path to achieve a particular goal. Okay, unfortunately, that's not quite enough because models are based on representation. Okay, because for example, a very classic example in AI is the farmer fox goose grain. Okay, you have a river, you have a farmer needs to move all the items
Yeah.
across the river, but on the boat it can be on the hill and one of his items. And you have to decide which one you have to leave on one side, which one you take on the boat, and you move it, right? And you know that the fox wants to eat the goose wants to eat the grain. So you have this particular set of constraints you have to figure out in order to find the solution. So, in order to generate a model from these problems that I described you by words, you need to have a representation of this problem, right? And one possible representation is having a visual representation. You draw, the river, you draw the elements on one
Yeah.
side, and then you draw another the same scenario but with an action. So you show that now the farmer and the goose are moving across the river and whatever, right? And you from one state, right? Because this representation represents one state, a particular situation, a time t. You can draw connections to possible evolution of the system, right? So visually, you can represent what are my options from this state, right? And then you can draw what are the options from another state,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So the representation becomes a graph or a tree, depends on what kind of problems you have. And The nice thing is that in some particular problems, like this one is very simple, the
Hmm.
number of combination not that high, you can actually draw it in one blackboard, okay? And you visually can see that there are some states that do not satisfy the constraints of the problem. Um, So what I was saying is you have this representation. This case can be visually representation of really drawing the states and how the states evolved, and you can identify states that are not legal in our problem. So you expose the constraints of your um, of your problems, and you can find an algorithm that will satisfy the constraints for the
Yeah.
representation we have chosen to support the model. And,
Hmm.
uh, and the model solves the problems that is how you reach the solution to this problem. So what is the thinking process you need to employ to actually reach the solution of this task or similar problems, right? So um, in from a very again very practical terms, this definition of intelligence is
Yeah.
actually more suitable for me because it goes back to writing algorithms, right, of a mathematical formulation of some kind that
Hmm.
tries to replicate the thinking process of my brain when I try to solve a problem like, how to move all my atoms from one side of the river to the other without losing any atom, right?
Yeah.
So um, that is what that's what I consider intelligent. And if a robot has this ability, his ability to, you know, um, execute an algorithm or learning some models that are able to define this thinking process, then that robot is intelligent. So a cart that can navigate from point A to point B without hitting anybody or any other carts, then is intelligent behavior because it needs to think about staying in the lane. It needs to think about dynamic objects that are moving around and having some responses, some actions that enable the car to be safe and reach its target. Okay, so that's how I would define a robot that is intelligence by a
Yeah.
robot which is just a machine that executes actions.
Okay, so so essentially, the robot that you're talking about, by the term robot, you essentially mean a machine. So, what exactly would be the difference between a machine and a robot from this particular, definition that you talk about? So, or a machine could also be, a robot could be, a subset of a machine in a way, in that sense, and then an intelligent robot is then a subset of robot.
Yeah, yes. I would say like a machine is very general terms, so, right? We can call the dishwasher machine, right? But
Yeah.
in if we wanted to define a robot, the robot is a machine that is able to execute some particular actions by himself. Right, so his robot is a very old name, comes from the literature,
Yeah.
uh, and he defined this idea of an autonomo that can execute actions, right? While a simple machine would be, I don't know, a mechanical machine like, I don't know, a spray machine, right? You press the trigger
Okay.
and
Okay.
that's a tool machine, right? Which
Uh,
has nothing to do with it. with a robot.